When Twitter first came out, I thought it was silly. I remember having a conversation with an old friend, um, and we laughed. I mean, the word Twitter, I remember thinking was stupid, silly, ridiculous. And then it just started catching on, and very soon after it started, like maybe a couple years, maybe that's not very soon, but I created an account and then followed 90% of the accounts that I followed were news outlets. CNN. I followed I remember following Fox too, MSNBC, all the, online newspapers. I followed, I think if I recall, and it's hazy since it was so long ago, I think there were like 70, 90, 100 accounts, and 90% of those were news agencies. Um, and in addition to that, I rarely logged in and didn't tweet anything. I mean, you could go back to my original Twitter account and corroborate this. I thought it was silly. I always felt it was silly to have followers. Now I know why that was instilled in me. Oh yeah, when you're a targeted individual, you're given opinions and ideas, everything, mannerisms, the way you react to things, the way you say things is embedded and programmed into you. Uh, not it is. It just is. Not everything, but certainly, I believe, um, quite a bit, enough to make me and other targeted individuals not be who they really are. If that makes any sense. It probably doesn't, but anyways. So the reason why I'm talking about Twitter, the subject of this video, is because I'm trying to give an example, a verbal example of how this happens, how you are coerced into doing something that isn't you and never would have been you, but and it's not really even really evidence, but I have hundreds of these examples crisscrossed, from decades of my life, that correlate to other occurrences in my life that, it's hard to explain how I know. It's sort of like if you've ever been cheated on, or if you ever caught someone doing something behind your back, whether it's someone backstabbing you at work or whatever it is. You see signs, that don't come from one place, and then you get a feeling, and you get intuition, and and then you get a little bit of evidence too, and you put it all together, and it just paints a mural, a picture. It weaves together to form this, blanket, this patchwork, you know representation of what you know is the truth. And that's I'm giving you one example of that. And so and it doesn't, maybe there might be pieces of information that I'm missing that add to this, but I don't have those pieces of information. I've asked for those pieces of information, but I don't think I'm going to get them because, you maggots don't have them. You really don't. In your mind you might think you do, but you actually really don't. But so I have this Twitter account, for a while. I don't know when Twitter was created. When was Twitter first, created? What year? I'm googling it right now. I think it was like, okay, so it says 2006. I remember when Twitter first came out. I laughed, la 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 la, and I came to the Bay Area, Northern California, in 2007. And I think of some years after that, I created an account, maybe 2011, 2010, and for until 2019, early 2019, so that's 8 years, I didn't tweet, I didn't follow people, I didn't pay attention to other people's tweets. I was non-existent on Twitter. Okay, if I tweeted anything, it might. Oh, I remember I used to retweet articles that I really liked. That's what I did, and then like wrote little notes on them. But I didn't tweet at all. Like, just I didn't. If I did, it was like one off for the year, or for like every 3 or 4 months, and it wasn't. It was for myself, and it wasn't, negative in any way. And then in 2019, I remember, sitting here in this new apartment that I was in, and getting this urge to open up a new Twitter account, and I did, and then I followed a bunch of atheist accounts immediately, and then I started tweeting about atheism, and that's it. Just it like almost like a light switch. Never was on social media, never was on Facebook, never was on Instagram, never was whatever, Pinterest. Never was a social media person who retweeted, saved, tweeted about anything. Never was fervent about talking about atheism. I would make fun of atheism. I'm sorry, religion. Uh, from time to time when this situation arose, uh, you know, maybe in some forums, but not to the extent of 2019, early 2019. I think it was March, if I remember correctly, even just spring, where I decided to create an account, and then I like systematically started tweeting about atheism and Christianity immediately, just like a light switch, and it got exponentially more active. I started tweeting more and more about just atheism, making fun of God, making fun of the Bible, making fun of Christians, mostly Christians. Yeah, mostly Christians, but just religion in general. Um, so, um, from there, I have had dozens and dozens of experiences with gang stalking maggots, psychopaths, losers, insecure, um, just awful, disgusting goblins, creatures, demons, whatever you want to call them, making comments to me about my comments about God and religion, being or showing me anger about towards me while professing their belief in God and their faith. It's hard to describe. So, like, to give you one example, I received this tweet from this stupid, whatever. There's this black girl, white guys, white girl, whatever. If you don't know who they are behind the account, sometimes I think they might actually show their real faces, but I think that's rare. They usually cover them up because you're cowards, and it, and it said something like, I no, not something, pretty much like God hates non-believers. I don't think she used that word exactly, or this creature used that word exactly. God hates non-believers. God hates apostates, or God hates atheists. God hates people that don't believe in Him. So I hate what God hates. And with this really angry, breasting bitch face photo, which is a lot of what you guys do. It's like you're such losers and bullies. You have this like resting bitch face or angry look on your face, or sometimes it's like the smug look on your face because you're torturing me and you're getting away with it. Just really loser kind of behavior, weak, weak, cowardly behavior. And but anyways, that's the example, right? So you get one of those where somebody's like, ends up on your social media account and likes one of your tweets, so you go back to their account, and right on their banner or their pinned tweet it says, I hate people who hate God, or God hates unbelievers and I hate them too because of that. Like, one of those is like, it's like nothing, and you think, what a loser, what an idiot, and you move on. But if you get dozens and dozens and dozens of those, depending on the day and how many times you're online, every day or every month, every week, for 2 years, then you realize what it's about. It's not some sort of um, 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 coincidence, right? Early on in this scenario, I got hundreds a day. Things like you're in a God boot camp, or Christian symbolism, and all this other crap, superstitious crap. And so, you get all of this. I get all this now. So it's basically people hating on you because you've hated on their God and their belief, right? Which is, I've given you an example of how I know that. So then rewind to 2019, never been on Twitter, never fervently talked about God, never fervently, like, quote unquote, disrespected or was blasphemous or was sacrilegious about God. It just, you know, I, I can't even, I've probably said things and said things to people or thought things, mostly thought things, but not on Twitter ever. And so, and then just like a light switch goes off, and then all of a sudden I'm just like churning it out like a freaking machine, right? Boom, 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 and getting worse and worse and worse and worse. And so, um, my belief is that that was coerced, that was manufactured. I was, obviously, mind control exists. This is something that you can, if you did your research, and it's all online, everything that I'm telling you is actually searchable and you can find it. It's right under your nose, and that's how they like it. It's kind of like taunting. But there is technology now to control someone's mind with waves, RF waves. I don't. There's like a Google patents list that I'll put in the description box if you want to look at it. But even if you didn't, if I didn't put that link there, I'll try to remember to put it there. It exists. People can now take over. We have electrical signals in our brain, and if you can bypass and interfere with those electrical signals, you can make people do whatever you want them to do, and that technology exists. Nanotechnology exists to the point where they are in our bodies. It sounds crazy. Just look up nanodust, yada yada yada, and people are all now controlled with technology. We're all sedated in a certain way via technology to consume, to get married, reproduce, buy, don't care, don't listen, be stupid, don't read, be distracted, buy, consume, consume, consume. And this is not something that happens by accident. It's done through waves, our cellular phones, our televisions, our computers. It's not just subliminal messaging anymore, it's that too. It's a constant barrage. So mind control happens, and it happens at a alarmingly unethical and scary rate, and undetectable, right? Even undetectable by you maggots. I know I'm not the only targeted individual who has come to this determination. But the idea is it went from 0 to 60, 0 to 100 in less than 6 months, when I had never ever been interested to tweet anything about or follow atheists, or just boom. And looking back in retrospects, that terminology, that adage, hindsight is 2020. Sometimes you realize, like, you have those moments, those epiphanies, where you're sitting down, and it could be about anything, about an old friend that you had, an old boyfriend that you dumped because he cheated on you, or because he was a narcissist, or a friend that was always backstabbing you, and you never realized it, and then you're like sitting down, you're having soup, and something triggers your memory, and you go, oh my gosh, that's why he was saying this and this and this and that. Oh my gosh, that's why my friend that that wanted me to go there and do this, because that is the connected moments that targeted individuals have about my Twitter presence, connected to hundreds of memories that I have about how I was led down a certain path that makes sense, why I had cognitive dissonance about something, or that wasn't like me to do that. Why did I do that? And why did it seem like I don't even remember why I did that, and that my motivations for something like that didn't match with my motivations for doing things of that kind of so that doesn't make sense as I'm like trying to explain it abstractly. But when I talk about the Twitter incident, that's one incident. One incident where there was no track record, no history of habits, no history of interest, no history of actual actions, that all of a sudden, like a light, all of a sudden I was tweeting about it, doing something. It's basically used. Now that is going to be used against me for your lower level minions, the people that are making the noise campaigns, the people like the crazy bitch below me, Leah, or the crazy bitch Nancy, who's my landlord, or things like this used against targeted individuals. Say, look what she wrote on Twitter. Look, or the crazy coworker that I had, Mohammed, who treated me badly. I know now because he was religious. He was Muslim, and just that was one of the things. I'm sure there's probably many other things that he was told about me to make me look bad that were my decisions when they were not my choices and my decisions. Did I have the propensity? And do I have those thoughts? Are those thoughts mine? Yes, they are. Now they are. Would I have ever gone down that road to start tweeting and writing and thinking about religious people, religious zealots in that way if I was not controlled and manipulated to do that? I don't think so. I don't think so. 100% no. So that's one incident out of hundreds that I've come across during this time of complete knowledge and understanding of your why you're at fault. Why I always say you are 100% at fault. 100% at fault. I take no accountability. I do not. Even that word is disgusting to me. Repent to a mythical fairy tale Santa Claus tooth fairy thing that doesn't exist, that was created to control you, which it is controlling you, by the way. The powers that be, the people that are in control of the money, they're laughing at you. I know, maybe not all of them, but many of them are laughing at you because they are controlling you through religion, they're controlling you through money, controlling you through fear, to hurt other people and torture other people over something that isn't even real. A mythical god that was created long ago. All you have to do is look it up. Do I have access to the proper information, the information about the history of religion? It's not like I'm an expert, but am I missing something? Is there access to information that I do not have? What about the verses in the Bible that talk about God carrying out genocide, or carrying out baby killing, or being okay with lifting women's skirts, which I read online somewhere that's rape, or being someone who promotes that, or killing entire towns. What about that is okay? What about that? Any entity that promotes that kind of killing and violence, why would you follow any entity or being or person or child or artificial intelligence that carries out those actions? It is a genuine, sincere question, not said in a respectful way, which is probably something that you think you deserve. You don't deserve that. That is, and yet you were brainwashed to follow something like that, which is a man-made mythical god, right? And so, that's why I always say I will not repent. Repent is some kind of a misnomer. Repent is repenting to, you want me to say sorry to a mythical figure that was created to control the hordes of proletariats and the plebes who are not thinking for themselves? Absolutely not. That's dishonorable. That's ignorance. That's blind belief in something when you don't even know what you're following. It's blasphemous to intelligence. It's blasphemous to critical thinking and being an individual, and thinking about your belief, and being it's just an anathema to who I am as a person, which is a thinking, passionate person who will not blindly follow something, especially something that is purported to be violent in your own book that you carry and you say that you revere. I will not revere psychopathy and homicidal, murderous rage. I will not revere that. No matter what you tell me to do, that is ridiculous to me, that you say you are godly and then think that you're better when you are a homicidal, raging maniac. So, do believe what you want. You don't really, I believe most of you don't have the capacity to, or the brain processing power to understand even what I am saying to you right now. That these little bits of moments in my life where they don't match up to my history. They don't match up in a profound way. If you know anything about just education, you know that if there's a history of behavior, that's one surefire way to look at a person's police and detectives look at that. They look at rap sheets to see if this person had a history of violence or a history of this, to mark them as a target or a suspect. Well, in this one tiny little example, microcosm of an example, where I did not have a history or actions towards saying something, doing something, and then all of a sudden, like a light bulb going and doing something on Twitter, and it all happening a year before the gang stalking completely started, to use that as fodder, to use that as a weapon, to weaponize that against me. That is one tiny example, juxtaposed against the fact that as a person, I have never done that. I've never been a Machiavellian type. I've never been a manipulative type to think with premeditated plans to take something from someone, to steal something from someone, to take the person's spouse or boyfriend, to steal somebody's work that they did in my career so I can take credit for it. Any of that. Never, never. I don't have a propensity or have a record of doing that. You maggots and your peers, your ilk, your brothers, your sisters, your fathers, your sons have that trait in spades. So if I'm telling you that, and you've probably been lied to about my history, frankly, but in my mind, when I see dozens and dozens and hundreds of these examples in my own life, I tell myself, I'm trying to be intellectually honest with myself. I'm trying to be honest, really look inwards, right? Because I am that person that will look inwards and go, dang, I did that. I feel bad about that. I should really try to fix that. I've always been that person. You are wrong about me. And I was doing that, and I'm thinking, I cannot ignore the evidence. The landslide, mountainous evidence of moments like this happening in my life, and which has led to my understanding, my 100% certainty that and why I always say targeted individuals are not at fault, targeted individuals are innocent. Maybe not all of them, but I certainly am. And if I am, then so many others are too, where we are set up from who knows how long and what with. And if that question even exists, from one example, the Twitter example for me, and that's just one where it's like, God, that's really weird. One is not enough, but if you have a lot, even if that doubt exists, then that's enough for me to say I will never take accountability for anything. But that doubt exists along with you maggots telling me how you've been doing this to me my entire life. You maggots telling me, hey, we've been doing this to you since you were born. We've been doing this to you for 20, 30, 40 years. So you want me to repent? You want me to take accountability and responsibility? Absolutely effing no. Get the F out of my face. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you being serious right now? And I'm your methodologies are bumbling. Your methodologies are intellectually not sound. The way you do things and carry out your psyops and your attempts to brainwash and indoctrinate and trick seem like they're being carried out by children, by people who are very stupid. How could someone who has two brain cells to rub together look at this mountainous evidence of not only of everything that you have done to deceive and lie, but then your admission that you have deceived and lied and set me up from the beginning of my life? Unless you were lying about that, why would you lie about that? Why would you lie about that so fervently, so intensely? And then you want me to take accountability for that? Get the F out of my face. You are a joke. You are a joke to anybody who is intelligent, who has self-worth, self-respect, who can string two facts together, who can deduct even at an average rate. Get out of my face.